5 kilometers to go, so the teams can't really...
And interestingly, Magnus, it looks like one of the riders from Team Sky on the front. Is that the figure of Bernie Eisel? It certainly looks like his pedalling action.
Yep.
So now Sky in the mix as well. And there it is, the bottom of the first categorised climber of the day for the Skoda King of the Mountains classification. None of these riders will threaten the lead of Mark McNally, who is wearing that white jersey with the green spots. And here's Beachy Head, an average of 3% gradient, 3.6 kilometres in length. So a long one, Magnus, but one that you can get into a rhythm on rather than labour up.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think, though, the climb is actually steep in itself. It's just that they measure it from a point where it's still reasonably flat, so you should be able to pretty much big ring this whole climb up.
And that was Białobłocki there, letting the gap go to try and usher Vermont through. But in doing that, he's made it hard for himself to get back onto the wheel of Konovalovas. But Dylan van Baarle really is riding well today. Sat on the front and immediately opened up a gap. A bit like Kevin Ister was struggling there from Yam Cycling. He's lost a few lengths as the Belgian. 29-year-old struggling on the first big climb of the day. We'll see if he gets back in contact. And there's the peloton chasing behind, led now by the red and black of BMC. With Tinkoff Saxo in close attendance. And Kevin Ister can't quite close that gap. I mean, they've got 100 miles already in the legs, Magnus. If you're not climbing well, and when you can't close that few meters, it looks so easy, but believe you me, it's so hard, isn't it?
It's virtually impossible when you get to that point. When there's nothing left in your legs, there is nothing left in your legs, and you just can't close that gap down. It doesn't matter whether it's on the flat or whether it's uphill. Obviously, it's more difficult uphill, but once your legs go, they're gone.
There we go, just looking through a few of your questions. Some of you saying that a Sky starting to pull. It looks as if that's happening. Of course, Bradley Wiggins is still up there on general classification, not too far down at all. He's lying in 7th position at 1 minute and 2. You've also got David Lopez at 1 minute and 4 seconds. So Bradley Wiggins still in contention. We know he's going to probably ride a very, very good time trial, and you just never know, Magnus, what might happen on these last 3 climbs. Perhaps not Beachy Head, but the last 2 climbs of Ditchling Beacon and Bear Road come within the last 18 kilometres, and at that point the rides are going to have 115, 110 miles in the legs. We're almost coming into sort of classics territory, and of course at the back end of this week, which has been so difficult too, many of the riders are saying that the parcours have been so hard. No giant mountains as such, but just relentlessly hilly, with a lot of the stages with hills towards the back end too. All makes for a lot of fatigue, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly does, and those climbs at the back end of today are incredibly steep as well, so it's certainly gives a springboard for all the riders to work with. And I think potentially actually for Bradley Wiggins a bit of a worry, because he hasn't been going up the steeper climbs all that well this week, and I think they're probably going to start looking as well to make sure that David Lopez Garcia has got what he needs to be able to go up those climbs, because I think he's certainly a rider who would be more capable of putting himself right up there in general classification. Doesn't time trial too badly either, obviously not to the standard of Bradley Wiggins, but I think Lopez can't sit and wait for Bradley. He's got to go with the front guys and effectively try and pull that wide apart as much as he can, and just see what happens for tomorrow then.
Well, Kevin Ister has just managed to get back in contact, but he's still leaving around a bike length. If I was him, I'd try to get on that wheel, because there's a lot of exposed wind at the top. He loses a few more lengths again, really fighting with his bike, but look at the crowds at the top of this climb. Beachy Head, of course, probably better known for more darker reasons, I think, as a landmark, but wonderfully beautiful. You've got those chalk cliffs dropping into the sea.
Yeah, a bit of crosswind up here as well. Yeah,
you can just see by the formation there. I'm surprised they don't go a little bit more to the left to give the other riders in the breakaway a bit more shelter. Normally you see the riders go right over to the left-hand side, but I think they're putting Vermont, because he's not riding, putting him in the wind a little bit perhaps.
Of course. I mean, you'd be silly not to. So any rider who's not taking their turns, you make sure that they sit as far into the gutter, so ideally in the grass line, and having to ride a bit of off-roading to get any kind of shelter. That to me is just second nature.
It certainly is. If you've got a passenger on board, without resorting to fisticuffs on elbows, you use the other methods that you've got at your disposal, and primarily it's wind. It's putting the riders that are sat on in the gutter and then forming a mini echelon of 3 riders, and letting the others suffer in the wind. But it looked like Marcin Białobłocki did move a fair bit to the left there to give Vermont a bit of shelter as we head back to the peloton. And it is indeed Bernie Eisel of Team Sky in that familiar position on the front. He does look remarkably comfortable, doesn't he? Despite him riding at a speed that's actually eating into the lead of our 5 breakaways. And the lead now 6 minutes and 48 seconds. Definitely thinking of the 2 riders who sit in the top 10, Lopez and Bradley Wiggins, without a shadow of a doubt. Ben Swift also there. He's now the leader of the points classification by virtue of actually leading it, not because he's in second position. So he has a lead over Michał Kwiatkowski of 7 points. So Ben Swift rode particularly well yesterday, riding on the front and then still getting up there in the bunch sprint at the end. So Swifty riding particularly well as our leaders just crest the climb. Marcin Białobłocki on the left-hand side for Team Giordana. Looks like he's going to take the points if that position stays the same. Konovalovas riding through now with Dylan van Baal of Garmin Sharp on his wheel in the blue, white and red. Yeah, definitely keeping that formation quite tight to put the 2 passengers in a little bit of difficulty. And some great crowds greeting the riders over the top of this climb. And there we go. They've crested that. It looked like Konovalovas took the points over the top of that climb. Van Baal in second, and the rider from Poland on the Giordana team, Marcin Białobłocki, in third. And just as the peloton reached the foot of this climb, we're going to take a short break, and we should better rejoin the race as the peloton crest the top of Beachy Head. And as you rejoin us, the peloton are making their way up Beachy Head. The gap now to our 5 leaders, 6 minutes and 36 seconds, with 57.5 kilometres to go. And a nice tempo been set on the front by British rider Steve Cummings, twice a podium finisher in the Tour of Britain. Now riding, or has ridden for the last couple of years, in fact, on the BMC squad. On the right-hand side of your picture there, moving across the road, Magnus, to give the other riders, so basically he's not putting the other riders in the gutter. He's got Visconti on his wheel. And there's Mark McNally. What a race he's had in the white jersey with the green spots as leader of the Skoda King of the Mountains classification, riding for Unpost Sean Kelly. But yeah, there's no point in him putting riders in difficulty at the moment, but no, he can really shift, can't he?
But this could still happen, though, by just the fact that they're trying to bring the breakaway back. They've got to keep the pressure on, and effectively you're looking at 7, maybe 8 riders across the road back there. The rest of the guys are going to have to open up new wings, if you will, or wires as they call them in Belgium, to be able to get some sort of shelter. And it's just it doesn't take much to split the peloton wide open with these kind of crosswind sort of sections as you get.
It certainly doesn't. You can just see, if you look down the line, there'll be a few riders without a shadow of a doubt in a little bit of difficulty, but this is the place to be. If you can get yourself in a good position, it's certainly far easier at the front. You've got the shelter of the rider in front, the riders in that echelon formation. There's Gianni Visconti, the Italian, on Alex Dowsing's team. And here we said, look at the damage that's been caused at the back here. This isn't where you want to be, is it, Magnus?
No, far from it. And like we said, it's just a question of time before that snaps. And Christian Howes looks like he's been caught. Chris Opie's been caught on this one. James Lowsley-Williams has been caught out on his tops. And that would certainly change the race quite a bit.
It certainly would. Some great shots here of the peloton. A drastically reduced peloton, actually. There's it looks, well, I wonder if the riders will, some riders will probably start to get on. As long as they get in the convoy, there is ground to get on. But of course, there's going to be no let-up at the front. They're not going to who goes to the front now. And the second rider for Movistar, Giovanni Visconti, the diminutive climber, Very, very punchy rider indeed. He now takes his turn. 54 kilometres to go, 6 minutes 12, so gradually they're now eating into the lead. And groups at 6s and 7s behind, a lot of damage has been caused, and the road just gets harder and harder. But it looks like Białobłocki now struggling. That's the universal sign. A nice, what a polite rider he is, giving a wave to the crowd. He's tried, hasn't he? I mean, he's been out in front with some class riders, and what more can you ask? What more can you ask of Marcin?
Well, it just goes to show again how important it is to do the longer days and the longer stage races, and with more kilometres in them as well. Marcin is one of the best riders that we've had on the UK. The metal is longer and harder, not necessarily harder, but certainly longer, so that the guys can race the full distance.
There you go. You heard it from Magnus. And of course, although Giordano are one of the continental team, they haven't had quite the same race program as, for argument's sake, Rafa Condor JLT or Madison Genesis. Although they are continental ranked, they primarily base themselves in the UK. Still a solid outfit. They've got Steve Lampier, who's ridden extremely well on that squad. As we look down at the peloton, still Movistar, BMC relaying at the front. There'll be no help there from the little rider from Yam Cycling. And that's what you can do. That's what disrupts the chase, isn't it? It's something that can cause arguments. I mean, we saw it in the Vuelta, as we see Gianni Visconti on the front for Movistar with Steve Cummings on his wheel. And the rider that's in the mix, it's Chava himself, Sylvain Chavanel.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously noticed that this crosswind is not particularly comfortable, so the best place to put myself is right in the mix of it. Even if I do have to take a turn or two, that's where I need to be. So still the majority of the work is being done by Giovanni Visconti, Pablo Lastres and Steve Cummings, though.
But look at the damage on this slight rise with the wind coming from the right-hand side. There's all sorts of problems. That's Ian Bibby there, number 59, riding for Madison Genesis, starting to struggle. There's Alex Peters there, also number 96 there, another Madison Genesis rider. And that front group's just starting to go away, and that just shows it's all about positioning. There's no attacking going on, Magnus, at the front of the peloton. It's just that relentless tempo, and all it needs is one or two riders to lose the wheel in the wind, and it's game over.
It certainly is. It doesn't take an awful lot, like we've said. The pressure on the front of the peloton with the added wind is just enough to throw havoc into a lot of riders' days.
And that was confirmation of the climb at Beachy Head. The one rider that was third over the line there, now not with these four breakaways. He's been distanced on one of the rises. So we now have just four riders out in front. A lead of 6 minutes and 1 second, 52 kilometres to go. And the man riding on the front, and he has the one that has most to gain, Dylan van Baarle. The Dutch rider, only 22 years of age, number 45 there, in the blue, white and red of Garmin Sharp. He's only at 1 minute and 25 from the leader's yellow jersey. And he's also taken some time bonuses today as well. He's taken every single one, so he's taken 9 seconds in total today. The rider on his wheel from Lithuania, Ignatas Konovalovas from MTN Quebecer. And on third wheel there, we have Kevin Ista from Belgium riding on the Yam Cycling here, Magnus. 50 kilometres, or just over 50 kilometres to go. The breakaway now down to 4. What do you think? What are your thoughts now? Are these riders going to come back, or are they going to stay away?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult for them to stay away, but looking at what Julian Vermont is doing at the moment as well, he could potentially be a man for the individual stage win today. If he's sitting there saving up his legs as much as possible, they're in a very strong position. But I think that they're going to get caught.
It does look that way. I think it will be maybe on the final climb or maybe on the run into the finish, because they've still got a healthy lead. 5 3/4 minutes. Just going to be coming through Seaford in a moment, and then it won't be long before they hit the next climb. And that's trying to stay away and possibly take the yellow jersey. It's great to see, isn't it, the amount of aggression in this race, especially at the back end of the year. I think the race this year, Magnus, the Tour of Britain as is, with this route, it's finally found its groove, and riders are coming over, not just using the race as preparation for the World Championships, although that is a plus side.
Yeah.
It's respected, and they're racing it, and it's some of the finest racing I've seen in a long, long time.
I totally agree with you on that. It's been really good to see how aggressive everyone has been, and with the roads certainly the routes that have been chosen from the organisers this year, it's proved to be, I think, a very good preparation for the World Championships as well. So if you race this hard, it's certainly a difficult tour to cope with, and then give yourself about a week's worth of recovery, and you should be ready for the
150 metres long finish straight. So be interesting to see who's left and who's going to contest that sprint in the final. But look at this, a study of speed really here. Steve Cummings getting really low, aerodynamic, hitting some really high speeds.
Champion.
Yeah, he got away, didn't he, on the Ponferrada course with Alejandro Valverde. And we don't know if Valverde gave his the race or not, but he crossed the line first. Valverde was second, and here's the Movistar team car. But that's the course that the Spanish Championships was held on, of course. Here, eyeing that race. Not long to go.
What's your take on that then, Matt? Because I've been looking at that road course, and it's about 4,200 odd metres of altitude gain on over 200.
Take me down to the riverbed, take me down to the fighting end, wash the poison from off my skin, show me how to be whole again. Fly me up on a silver wing, past the black where the sirens sing, warm me up in the Nova's glow, drop me down to the dream below. 'Cause I'm only a crack in this castle of glass, hardly anything there for you to see, for you to see. Castle of glass, hardly anything else I need to be.
Chase your passion for glory.
challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor starts to spray in the night, and he's watching us all in the eye all the time. Rising up.
Lovely town. Everybody has come out to cheer these riders on. The gap to our 5 brave leaders, 3 minutes and 51 seconds. Yet still 25.5 kilometers to go, and 2 quite brutal climbs at the back end of this race today. We have Ditchling Beacon still to come, the first cat climb, and we have the climb of Bear Road that the riders will face after 219 kilometers before the 7-kilometer drop into the finish in Brighton, sorry. But the Omega Pharma Quick Step playing a good hand today. They've got a rider in the breakaway. Julian Vermont is there. He's not contributing at all to the pacemaking.
They keep an eye on Kwiatkowski's overall lead, and if they really want to, by the time they hit that final 17 kilometers and the bottom of the penultimate climb, they could really go so hard with a number of riders.
It's definitely a possibility. The best way to ride and the best way to attack a yellow jersey, not so much to attack, is to ultimately, in the first instance, get him isolated and then hit him. He's got a team of very good climbers around him, as Alex Dowsett. As you see, Rick Zabel setting the tempo at the front here. Leopold Koning, of course, sitting quite highly on the general classification. He's at 9th place overall at 1 minute and 6 seconds. And this sort of finale will really, really suit Leopold Koning. 7th this year in the Tour de France. Of course, has taken stages, Queen stages in the Tour of California in the past, as well as a mountaintop finish in the Vuelta.
17 kilometers we got the bottom of the penultimate climb, so that's where I think everything's going to come down to.
It certainly is, and it's now A Netap Enduro rider. Can't quite identify who that is at the present time, but they're on the front, keeping this pace high. And again, we flip to the front to our 5-man breakaway, and that's Ignatius Konovalovas on the front for MTN Quebecer. Sat on his wheel is the man with most to gain, the young Dutchman on the Garmin. Difficult finale, but some beautiful country lanes here in the south of England. Another gorgeous day, but some really, really tough climbing to come. And still on the front we have Dylan van Baarle setting that tempo. Good. Marcin Białobłocki of the Velo Show of the Giordana team still there riding. And he did get dropped on the first categorised climb of the day on Beachy Head, but has fought back and is now still riding. And the other riders, Magnus, in this group will be thankful for that.
Yeah, they certainly will be. It's going to be interesting to see, I think, how Marcin gets on with these next couple of climbs coming up.
There's the pursuit. There's the team pursuit, NFTO, who are here with Adam Blythe, we're taking to the track. Of course, we have such a rich heritage, a rich history on the track. It really will be a spectacular event. So get on the beat. The lead at around 3 minutes. We're going to take our final commercial break. Please make sure you stay with us. And that's not taking anything away from the Essex rider at all, but they've certainly played a better hand of cards today. They've put this rider out in front. They're not having to work as the peloton chases behind, and even if he gets caught...
To see Julien Vermont, who spent so much time on the front yesterday chasing, trying to bring Alex Dowsett back. He's now gone clear today, and he's just negotiating the most difficult part of this climb, but still looking very strong out there. And I think it's going to be hard work.
But Vermont out of the saddle, turning quite a big gear, really leaning on the pedals. And here's the view behind as the peloton snaking their way down that very, very narrow country lane with high hedges, gravel in the centre of the road. And interestingly, another team have come to the head of affairs, and that's the giant Shimano. They've got nobody up there on general classification.
But Yam Cycling as well in the second and third. They were Heinrich Hausler and Sylvain Chavanel coming through that bottom corner. So they're clearly looking at...
It's the man from Amiga Pharma Quickstep, Julien Vermont. He's 25 years of age. He's from Belgium. Been with his team for a few years now. Very experienced rider. We've seen him over the last few days spending many, many kilometres on the front of the bunch, working for his team, working for Mark Cavendish for the sprints, and looking after Michał Kwiatkowski during his tenure in the yellow jersey. But some great crowds out to greet this rider as he comes to the top of this climb. 1,500 metres in length, this hill of Ditchling Beacon, but really labouring. But he's looking pretty effective, although he's turning quite a big gear, just coming over the crest here. Great to see so many people coming out to greet the Tour of Britain on these roads.
Fantastic. But Vermont is looking strong on this climb. He's still turning over reasonably big gear and in a very efficient way as well. And wow, look at the crowd has come out to the top here.
Absolutely fantastic scenes on the Tour of Britain this year. Mind out with that signpost, sir. Just coming over the line now is Vermont. Takes the points over the top. So he'll take the King of the Mountains points on the top of Ditchling Beacon. It's now a very, very fast descent, but what is happening down below? There's some splits. The peloton is fragmenting here. Can't see Alex Dowsett. Looks like Tinkoff Saxo setting quite a fast tempo at the head of affairs here. Looks like the Amiga Pharma Quickstep rider. Looks like Kwiatkowski's shape there. There's the national champion of Spain also in the mix.
David Lopez in the mix there for Sky. Kwiatkowski's now looking around and deciding to have a go, I think.
As Kwiatkowski tries to jump clear of the peloton. It's his teammate up in front, Julien Vermont, powering over the downs here. Looking very, very strong indeed. I wouldn't exactly call it an armchair ride, but he hasn't had to contribute to the breakaway over the last 50 kilometres by virtue of the fact that we'll see as the camera pans back who has he got for company. These are troubled times now for the leader, Alex Dowsett.
Yeah, definitely looks like yesterday took a fair bit out of Alex Dowsett, and straight away you can see on the front there, Amiga Pharma Quickstep has put the pressure on and splitting up the peloton quite a bit. Where is Alex in relation to all of these guys?
As that camera pans back, we might get a shot of where he is. Still can't see him. I can see the gap, 2 minutes and counting for our leader, Julien Vermont, who has still got a pretty healthy lead. He obviously climbed that climb pretty quick. We should get a time check in a few moments. Well, we've got a clock running at around 2 minutes and 18 seconds to Julian Vermont. And a Garmin rider there also. That's Dylan Girdlestone sat on the wheel of Nicky Terpstra. But Visconti's starting to drop. Alex Dowsett, who gets out of the saddle in one last effort to keep in contact with the Italian climber. Another glance, they're over the top of the climb. Lost around 40 seconds to that, 50 seconds to that leading group. Difficult times now for Alex Dowsett. Remember, his lead on general classification is only 34 seconds to Michał Kwiatkowski, then 40 seconds to Edoardo Zardini, 50 seconds to Roach, and then 51 seconds to Dylan Teuns. So these are dark times for the Essex rider on Movistar, and this is what's happening in front. So Bradley Wiggins of Team Sky takes to the front, powers along, and he has with him Kwiatkowski, also the figure of Nicholas Roach, three of the finest climbers in the world now riding together, looking to distance Alex Dowsett.
Yeah, this is just putting as much time as he can into Alex, but also a bit of crosswind over the top here maybe, and they're certainly going to put a few riders under pressure. But Johnny Zaguirre is still in there for Movistar, so Alex's teammate has made his way into the front group here.
Sylvain Chavanel swung over there, not happy to make the pace making. He still has a rider up in front, so he doesn't actually need to share the pace. Kevin Ista is still in between, but look at Gianni Visconti driving on the front. He keeps glancing over his shoulder to make sure that Dowsett's there nice and comfortable. These other riders with him aren't going to give him any assistance at all, are they, Magnus?
No, certainly not, but it's Alex has just been on the front and taking a turn as well, so it just shows that Alex has got the engine and the ability to ride fast on the flat still. It just struggles on the climbs, and boy, do I know that feeling.
Well, the distance to the group with Alex Dowsett in is 3 minutes and 1 second, but remember, that's to our lone leader, Julian Vermont of Amiga Pharma Quickstep, and now Jules Jensen goes to the front. Also, Sutherland is also there, so Nicholas Roach has strength in numbers. Tinkoff Saxo now combining.
Across the road everywhere here as well, groups of 2, 3, 4s and 5s. The front group, what, like 25 riders?
There's a couple of riders from the Domestica rally team in the mix. Looks like Matteo Bulo, Kienieski perhaps also there. Ben Swift is also there.
Under 21 of the under 23 riders from GB as well.
That looks like the figure of Theo Geoghegan Hart from the under 23 team. Also, I saw Steve Lampier there from Giordana. But this is our sole leader coming up to the last climb of the day. 10 kilometres to go. The opportunity on the penultimate climb of the day of Ditchling Beacon to go clear. And that is Julian Vermont of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. But all hell has broken loose behind. Attacks from the peloton has seen an elite group of general classification contenders go clear on the climb of Ditchling Beacon. Unfortunately for Alex Dowsett, he didn't manage to match the pace and acceleration of Michał Kwiatkowski, Bradley Wiggins, Nicholas Roach et al. So he's left with Gianni Visconti and several other riders who certainly will not assist to try and bring this gap back down. But at the moment, for Alex Dowsett, it's not looking too good. But I know this young man very well. He will certainly not give up. But at the front, it's all about the stage win now for Julian Vermont of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. Fascinating racing, Magnus.
It certainly is, and it's fascinating racing in the back here as well. In the what's left of the peloton, Kwiatkowski seems to be driving on as well, quite a bit on the front, and there's not an awful lot left of this group though. Good to see a few of the domestics. Steve Lampier still in there for Giordana.
Mark Christian is also there.
Yeah.
So at the moment it's Ben Swift who goes to the front. He could be with him in for a shout. We saw him working very hard on the finale yesterday, trying to help his team leader bring that time gap down. Looks like Jack Bauer is also there. But this is quite interesting. Nobody really hiding. This is playing back into the hand. Enormous gear over the top to distance his breakaway rivals.
The big question is, where is Conor Malovas and Kevin Ista and Van Baarle at the moment? Those guys are, in my book, the key to certainly to Vermont's potential stage win here, but also looking at the general classification, because with Van Baarle only being a minute and 25 down,
it's still all to play for. That looks like Theo Geoghegan Hart, who attacks for the under 23 GB team.
Good move.
He rides on the Bissell development team over in the United States. He's looked after by the son of the legendary Eddie Merckx. So Axel Merckx is his team manager. I think he's going to be staying with that team for next year, but a very, very talented British rider. But as we head to the front, it's another climb, and this is the climb of Bear Road. It's a Category 1, it's 7% gradient, but does max out at around 13%. But what an efficient style. It's not pretty, is it? He's hoofing that gear round, but Julian Vermont riding very, very strongly indeed.
Wow.
And sat there behind, who expressed no interest in riding at all, is Nicky Terpstra of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. He's got a rider lone in front, looking for the stage win, and it's got Michał Kwiatkowski, who is the yellow jersey elect at the present time.
Himself and the rest of the real strong time trialists, but is it going to be possible to drop a Bradley Wiggins on this type of a climb?
We'll certainly soon see. And there's Dowsett there on the wheel of Gianni Visconti, gritting his teeth. He said that yesterday was one of the hardest days he's ever spent on the bike. And I've no doubt today is going to be pretty much similar for this rider. But he's not giving up, he's still fighting. He will fight every single metre of the way to the finish on the prom in Brighton today, believe you me. And it won't be long before he's on the final climb along this straight section of road. Then the road kicks left, and then the climb begins. But in the middle, we have a group of around 20 to 25 riders. We know in there is Eduardo Zardini, Kwiatkowski is there, Nicholas Roach is there. I've also seen Dylan Tierns, the young rider, lying in 5th place on general classification. And it looks like Dylan Tierns has gone. Steve Lampier there for Giordano, doing a quite remarkable ride at the head of affairs. In the white jersey there. Looks like Jack Bauer also going clear over the top. One or two riders starting to struggle now.
Nico Roach as well going across there now, trying to get across to Jack Bauer, and this is Dylan Tierns. He's putting a monster attack in.
Also a rider from Belkin Pro Cycling. Could that be Lars Petter Nordhaug, probably the best climber on that team? Nicholas Roach now goes to the front, but still not reached the top of the climb, is our leader. Julian Vermont of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. It looks like he's starting to tire a little bit. He's still turning a very big gear, but Steve Lampier moves to the front.
What a ride by Lampier.
That's an incredible ride by Steve Lampier. His distance none other than Sir Bradley Wiggins, who appears to be struggling at the moment. He's on the wheel of Jan Barter, number 142. He needs to start going.
Well, I think that Lopez needs to just look after himself and get on the move here, because pacing Bradley around is not really going to do him all that much good.
You get from BMC in the black and red. He's sitting on the wheel of Amiga Pharma Quickstep's Michał Kwiatkowski. Then we have Nicholas Roach, and also in the mix there, Sylvain Chavanel for Yam Cycling, the former French road champion. He sits very handily on the general classification too. He's only at 1 minute 22, but the man with the most to gain is Michał Kwiatkowski.
Great ride by him, and still got the power to turn over a pretty big gear as he's just about coming up towards the kilometres to go sign as he goes under there.
1 kilometre to go now for Julian Vermont of Amiga Pharma Quickstep, 25 years of age, from Belgium. Has been, as Julian Vermont solos to what will be a memorable victory. This will be, without doubt, one of the finest victories of this young rider's career. Still turning that big gear, but very, very effectively indeed. Fantastic win here, still in that aerodynamic position, trying to squeeze as much out as he can. He kisses the crowd, he crosses himself, he changes down the gear to ease those legs for the very first time, does the heart shape, kisses the crowd yet again. What a win for this man. Julian Vermont takes the stage win of stage 7 of the Tour of Britain, but it's all about the battle now for the yellow jersey behind, and there seems to me to be a little bit of cat and mouse that's going on. The chasing group now, 1 kilometre to go, and a tentative attack off the front now from one of the GB riders, and it does look like it's Theo Guggenhardt.
It certainly does look like it's him, but it's been responded to by the Bardiani CSF team. Oh no, and for Theo, he goes, just overcooks it on that corner, throws himself off. He will get the same time as the leaders, but unlucky for the youngster there. We still haven't seen if any riders have been in the mix. It looks like this is the fight for second. David Lopez at the back here.
Sylvain Chavanel also there. Bradley Wiggins is also there. Marcin Białobłocki also there. But it looks like Michał Kwiatkowski on the left-hand side is taking a march, sprinting very, very strongly indeed. There's a time bonus on offer as well, which is vitally important. Kwiatkowski takes second place. One of the riders from Belkin that takes third. Dylan Teuns also in the mix there. Conor Valovas took second place. We didn't see him. Unfortunately, our cameras didn't pan to that. But what is the time gap? We know that Alex there, but what an interesting finale.
He certainly was, and he actually looks like Gogan has gotten himself back onto the bike again after that nasty fall. We've got Alex Dowsett now driving on as much as he can.
Yeah, Alex clearly in this group. I missed him out there. He is chasing hard. The gap, 2 minutes and 5 seconds to Julien Vermont. The clock is still ticking. Fighting all the way to the line. No help from anybody else at all. He crosses the line to our leader on the stage winner, and that was Julien Vermont. Around 2 minutes and 34 seconds, so a very tough day in the office for Alex Dowsett. But we knew this finale was going to be tough, Magnus. We said that it was where Michał Kwiatkowski was going to attack Nicholas Roach. There's Mark Cavendish, a very, very respectable ride by him, not finishing too far down at all. We didn't see those crossing the line, but Kwiatkowski still, there's a confirmation of the stage. Julien Vermont of Amiga Pharma Quickstep takes the win from Conor Valovas and Van Baal. Kwiatkowski takes fourth place. Lars Petter Nordhaug from Belkin fifth. Ista, Teuns, Chavanel and Buongiorno and Edoardo Zardini, the former yellow jersey wearer, rounding out the top 10. Very exciting finish there, but looking at the time gap behind Alex Dowsett in the south of England here today. A great ride by Amiga Pharma Quickstep. They conceded the lead yesterday, perhaps tactically didn't quite get it wrong. Well, not quite, they didn't get it right yesterday, but they certainly got it right today. They put a rider in the break who sat on, then took a solo victory. And that rider there, looking directly down the barrel of our lens there, Michał Kwiatkowski. It looks like he's going to take the race lead. But here's the slow-mo of this young Belgian. Takes the stage win today. The 7th stage of this year's Friends Life Tour of Britain. The 3rd stage win for Amiga Pharma Quickstep, following wins by Michał Kwiatkowski and Mark Renshaw. So a quite wonderful race for Amiga Pharma Quickstep. To the race for the GC, but these two riders crossed the line in 2nd and 3rd. Ignatius Konovalovas crossing the line in 2nd place, and 3rd place there for the young Dutch rider through. Dylan van Baal is the new race leader by 19 seconds from Michał Kwiatkowski of Amiga Pharma Quickstep. Zardini is in 3rd, Nicholas Roach 4th, Dylan Teuns 5th. Bradley Wiggins there in 7th place. Alex Dowsett drops from 1st to 10th place at just under 1 minute. What a turn-up. Dylan van Baal, with that brave breakaway for Garmin, has turned the race yet again on its head. The Tour of Britain, join us live tomorrow from 3:30. We'll have highlights of the time trial, then live coverage of the final circuit race on the streets of Westminster. It's been a fantastic stage today. The race turned on its head. But even more cycling tomorrow evening, 8:15 live on British Eurosport. We have the Montreal Grand Prix. So 3 races for you to watch, 3 exciting events. But how exciting was the Tour of Britain today? It's been a pleasure commentating on what has been an absolutely wonderful race. From me, Matt Stevens, here in Brighton, and Magnus Baxter. Make sure you join us again live tomorrow for 3:30 for the final stages of this year's Tour of Britain. There's your winner today, Julien Vermont. But Dylan van Baal takes the race leader's yellow jersey into the final stages on the streets of Westminster. Please join us again tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching.